everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome and welcome to the answer video for my 1500 subscriber Q&A celebration. Got a little bit of natural lighting going on today, so I don't think we're going to have any issues, and I just was really excited to finally get to all of these questions because once again, like I expected, I did get a lot of very good questions, and I'm very happy to see that there are a nice little mix of questions from some of my older YouTube followers as well as a whole bunch of new ones. So I am so happy to finally be here to answer all of your questions, and I'm really hoping that all of the answers that I give to you guys is to your liking. So without further ado, here are my answers to all of the questions that you gave to me. And if you did not get a chance to ask me a question, don't worry, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be another Q&A very soon down the road. So let's begin, shall we? The first couple of questions comes from Brian Lomax over at Brian Lomax Movie Talk. You can see him on my DCAU live shows, and he's always a pleasure to work with and talk to. So his questions are, what song would you have played at your funeral? That would definitely be Dream Theater's song, The Spirit Carries On. Check it out somewhere on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it. Dream Theater is one of my favorite bands. You will love that song. Number 2 is, which is the worst film to win Best Picture at the Oscars? I would probably say The King's Speech, and that was for the 2010 Best Picture. And that is only because of the fact that when you had it up against Toy Story 3, Black Swan, The Social Network, Inception, I mean, the list goes on and on, how did The King's Speech win amongst those original and amazing films? And the final question that he asked him is, what is the best film to win the Best Picture award at the Oscars? I am probably going to go out on a limb, maybe not, but I'm going to say Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. So powerful that it even had its sequel win 2 years later. The next couple of questions come from Christy over at Paradise Lost in Books, a fellow Tsum Tsum player, and I'm always happy to see her videos. She says, congratulations on 1500, what an awesome milestone. I don't think I saw this question, so apologies if it's a repeat, but which fictional world would you most want to live in and why? I would probably want to live in the world of Hanna-Barbera's classic show, The Jetsons. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, take a look at it sometimes. It is fantastic. The next couple of questions come over from Taylor at Bookaflix Taylor and her second channel, Taylor Vanders. She says, yay, congratulations on 1500 subscribers. You deserve it and so much more. My questions are, if you could have a lunch with any director, dead or alive, who would it be? I would have to say, at this point in time, Sidney Lumet, because I have been watching so many of his movies lately, and I'm suddenly realizing that he gives me some of the greatest movies that I've ever seen. And these are movies like Dog Day Afternoon, 12 Angry Men, and Network, just to name a few. He is brilliant. Her second question is, what are your hobbies outside of watching movies and shows? Well, there's so many of them, and I'm going to post a couple of videos for everybody who has asked me certain questions that some of my past content can provide answers for. So I'm going to post my Anything But Books tag and 35 facts about me. You will get a couple of those questions answered. Her third question is, what is your dream job? You want to know the truth, Taylor? I think that the job that I currently have is my dream job. I love the environment. I love the people that I work with. I love what I do for my boss, and I love the fact that I am now working with the marketing department at the college that I'm working at, where we have just started up a YouTube channel to promote the school, and guess who is headlining the project? Hi, everybody. And her final question is, what is your most embarrassing moment that's funny for you to talk about? And I hope that that's enough, haha. I plead the fifth. The next couple of questions come from Hope Ortego. She is one of my favorite YouTubers, and she is also a fellow New York sports fan. So, hey Hope, thanks for giving me the questions, and here are her questions. What is your favorite song right now, and what movie would you pair with it? I am going to go with something like this by the Chainsmokers featuring Coldplay, and even though the movie hasn't come out yet, I think that it would pair perfectly with Spider-Man Homecoming in July. Her second question is also, what movie is 10 on your second shelf, and let's hear a little bit about it. How to Train Your Dragon. What have you not heard about that movie? It's one of DreamWorks' best films, and its sequel is even better, and I'm so looking forward to the third one. If you haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon yet, I have no idea what else to say to you. It's a wonderful movie from DreamWorks. Go see it. Lastly, have you watched all of the movies on your shelf? The answer is no. Because of the fact that time has been a lot more constrained lately, I have been buying a lot more than I have been watching, but I am always trying to find time to watch all of these DVDs that I have been purchasing because my collection is going to keep growing, and it's only because of the fact that it takes only a second to purchase one on Amazon. The next couple of questions come from Nina over at Demigods and Dauntless. Thank you very much for your questions, Nina. She says, congrats again. What book that you have read is solely because of BookTube, and would you like to see an adaptation to screen? Movie or TV show, whichever you would think would work better. Well, I would have to say that the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer are very much due for a movie series. I think that they would be such a visual spectacle, and I think that people would really appreciate those films. The next couple of questions come from Brittany over at Brittany Reads. She is a fantastic YouTuber if you haven't checked her out yet. She's one of my newer subscribers, and vice versa. She wrote, congrats, and my question is, do you have any goals for your channel in the next year? I always have goals in mind, but if there is anything that I can disclose to you guys right now, I am definitely working on a lot more collabs in many different areas. Of course, some DCAU collabs, some more episodes of Versus, and I'm always looking forward to receiving any requests for me to join someone on their own collab. So that's pretty much one of my big projects that I'm working on next year in my channel. The next couple of questions come over from Tracy and her husband Jason over at Tracy's Basement. They are awesome people. Collectors extraordinaire, and especially when they make their videos and they have their daughter record with them, it is absolutely delightful to watch. That little one has so much personality, but then again, if you take a look at her parents, it's no surprise that she is just as cool as her folks. So here are the questions. We all have our complaints and opinions about every movie, but which movie do you feel personally could have done better, and why, and what would you do differently? I would definitely say, Tracy, that would have to be Green Lantern. I mean, that is one of the coolest superheroes in the world of DC Comics. I feel that there could have been so many different ways that it could have been done to be better because the cast was good. I liked that they actually really tried to give new fans of Green Lantern the lore as well as all the other lanterns that are out there. But the problem was the script could have been done so much better. I feel that if there was anything that would have been done differently, just get people like Joss Whedon or Zack Snyder on the phone. I'm pretty certain that they could have done better. But I also feel that Nathan Fillion should have been Hal Jordan. I mean, there's no one else that was born to play Green Lantern / Hal Jordan than Nathan Fillion. And I also believe that Blake Lively was horrible as Carol Ferris, and I feel that there should have been more Mark Strong in that movie. But those are just a couple of my reasons as to why I don't think that that movie is great, although I still do have fun with it. I actually do own a copy, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And her husband Jason asked me the following. The only very important thing I need to know right now, Kirk or Picard? It would be Picard, no question, and the same goes for Patrick Stewart over William Shatner. The next three questions come from Katie over at Katie's Book Nook, a fantastic YouTuber who has done a collaboration with me, and she asked me three questions. What is your favorite vacation spot that you have been to? If money was not an object, where would you travel to? Well, my favorite vacation spot is Las Vegas, hands down. I had so much fun when I went back in 2007, and I really want to go back again because there's so many things there that I didn't get a chance to experience, especially Cirque du Soleil shows. I've never been to one, and everyone I know who has been to one said it is fantastic. And if money wasn't an option, I would go to Japan, I would go to Australia, and I would go to New Zealand. Those are my top three places in the world that I would love to visit someday. Her second question is, if you had to choose any one sport to watch for the rest of your life and not watch any others, which one would you choose? It would have to be hockey. There is nothing better. And her third question is, Who is the best artist that you have seen in concert? I think it would be a tie between Depeche Mode and The Cure. I've never seen fans get so into the music than these two specific concerts. Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode got the whole crowd waving when he was playing Enjoy the Silence with the band, and The Cure at Madison Square Garden, they went into 3 encores. I don't think we got out of the concert until close to midnight. That's how amazing that concert was. The next question comes from Julia over at Julia Talks Too Much. She is such a delight. Thank you for the question, Julia. She says, congrats. My question is there a film that you loved when you were younger, even though it is not the most well-made? Something that might not be great quality, but still shaped your interest. It would have to be Jetsons the movie. It is one of my favorite animated films of all time. I love the Jetsons as a whole. I just feel that that movie really shaped more of my love of animation outside of Disney, even though I had seen movies like An American Tail and The Land Before Time, but animation is a wonderful thing, and you don't have to go just to Disney films to find great animation. It's everywhere, you just need to find the right movies. The next 2 questions come from Lisa Rhiannon. She is such a wonderful YouTuber, a good friend of mine, and I'm really excited to see her channel evolve because she's doing a lot more artwork on her channel with like papers and stuff like that and stop motion. It is really, really cool. I highly recommend her channel. She says, congratulations on reaching 1,500 subs. Obviously, you're a big fan of movies and books. What are your other hobbies and interests that you have if we don't know? Well, I'm going to provide a link once again to the Anything But Books tag, but I do enjoy cooking. I do enjoy playing Jeopardy with my wife as well. She is good. I mean, I wish that there was like a Jeopardy doubles tournament one time in my life so the 2 of us could be on a panel together. She'd take all of the very intelligent questions like science and history, and I would take all the pop culture questions. We'd probably kill it. And her second question is, who inspires you the most and why? It is my father because he really shaped me into the person that I am today, and even though it was a little bit tough because he was a very stern, strong father, I feel that I am so much better off now because of the life lessons that he taught me. The next question comes from Cherry over at her channel, Cherry Walker, a fantastic YouTuber. You gotta check her out, and when you see her videos with her daughter, it is so much fun. Her daughter is quite the young, proper lady, and I love watching the 2 of them make videos together. She says, congratulations. My question is, if you could watch one film for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? It has to be Back to the Future because it has everything done through amazing characters with a fantastic story. It's so imaginative and creative. I can't figure out what movie could possibly be better than Back to the Future. The next couple of questions come from Nicole over at Who Picked This Book. She is also an awesome YouTuber. She says, congratulations, 1,500 subscribers is incredible. You deserve it. My question, which has probably already been answered, is there any special meaning behind your channel name? And welcome to the story that is the Lawn Gnome. Well, back in 2002, when I had gotten to my senior year of college, one of my best friends reached out to me and said to me that they were doing a little pet film project with a whole bunch of friends called Fans on the Run, which was the story of a Yankee fan being chased by a Red Sox fan throughout the city of New York in the middle of the night. And we did all these really, really late film sessions. I think these were some of the first times where I actually stayed up till sunrise. I don't do that often, and I never really have, but it was definitely a ton of fun. So I was actually the shortest person next to my best friend's sister, who was 3 inches shorter than me, and so I was the smallest guy. And there were some guys in this group that were like over 6 feet tall, so I was tiny compared to some of these people. And when I was hanging out with everybody started calling me a gremlin because I was just a tiny thing running all over the place. And one of the girls in the group said, he's not a gremlin, he's too cute to be a gremlin, he could be a lawn gnome. And that was pretty much where the Lawn Gnome originated from, and I said to myself, why not make it my name on YouTube? Why the hell not? And people really seem to like it. So that is the history of how my nickname, the Lawn Gnome, came to be. Thank you very much for your question, Nicole. The next couple of questions come from Reggie over at Don't Stop Reading, and her questions are, how did you get into movies? Well, it was from a very young age. I always enjoyed going to movie theaters, and I just loved talking about movies, and there were so many people that just didn't. But as I got older and got to high school and college, that was when I really started to find people who loved to talk about movies. And when I saw this little thing called YouTube, I just said to myself, why not talk about movies here? Number 2 is, what is the first movie you remember watching? I don't know which one came first, but it is either The Great Muppet Caper or The Music Man starring Robert Preston and Shirley Jones and Buddy Hackett and a very, very, very young Ron Howard. If you haven't seen either of those movies, I highly recommend them. And 3 is, how do you like living and working in New York City? It's a great city. It is the greatest city in the world. It's got its highs and lows, though. I guess when you're a resident, it doesn't seem as amazing as people who have never seen it before. But there are so many different places. There's a little something for everybody there. Amazing culture, amazing food, amazing museums, everything you could possibly imagine. Amazing shopping. It's all there within a couple of city blocks. I mean, in an island that is only 3 miles long, it's just amazing how much is crammed into this tiny little island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I will say that the one thing I can't stand is the traffic and public transportation. It can just be very, very frustrating at times. The next couple of questions come from Lisa over at Coffee Beans and Bookmarks. She's one of my newer YouTuber friends, and we just buddy read Ready Player One together, along with Shayla over at Shay Geeks Out. I highly recommend you check her out. And she says, congratulations. Okay, here it goes. I apologize if this has been answered. If you could direct your own movie, what genre would it be, and what would the general plot be? I would say that it would have to be animated, because I feel that animation can make so much more in terms of visuals and creativeness and world building. You could just do anything. And I would probably want to direct a superhero movie that is animated. I actually wrote a long time ago a fan fiction that was a Batman story which involved a lot of other DC comic book characters, but I based it around the universe of Bruce Timm's Batman the Animated Series and DC Universe, and I just feel that it would be such a cool idea, and I just feel that if it's animated it would be so much more visually spectacular. The next couple of questions come from Hannah over at Craving Books. You gotta go to the dark corners of YouTube to find this girl. She is amazing. I love her original videos. She does everything from poetry readings to psychoanalyzation of book characters. She is amazing and one of my best friends here, and I just love her channel. You've gotta check her out. She says, hey Steven, many congrats. Sorry about not getting to this sooner. What is your most influential movie and why? It's 12 Angry Men, directed by Sidney Lumet. It took me a while to really figure this out, but the reason why I love it is because so much is done with so little. I mean, this movie has a very small cast. It practically takes place in one room 90% of the time. It is a very low-budget film. It's even in black and white, but the impact that it brings with the characters and the story, it just hits home. And it really makes you think at the end of the day. I don't even know how many times I've seen it already, but it's so brilliant. It's one of the best films I've ever seen. Question number 2 is, when do you remember being passionate about film? Probably when I was later on in my high school career and early into my college career, when I started breaking down films and really starting to dissect them and see what the good and the bad and the indifferent were in regards to how these films were put together. Question number 3 is there a type of genre or book you are not interested in reading? Yes, adult contemporary, and that will also include adult contemporary romance. If I want to see something that takes place in real life, I will just open my front door and I will go outside and take a walk. I don't need to read about things that I can experience or talk about with people in everyday life. Not interested in books that revolve around relationships, not about coming of age. The movies are much more entertaining for some reason, but the books, I just don't see myself finding any entertainment in those kinds of books. I need imaginative stories, gripping stories, because when you're reading a book, you want your imagination to run wild. And with contemporary or contemporary romance, I just don't think you get that unless you're actually visually looking at it on a TV screen or a movie screen. Question number 4 is, if there could be a film that would win all the Razzies, which would it be and why? Twilight, hands down Twilight. I will post a link to my April Fool's Twilight Saga Spectacular review. The next couple of questions come from Trish over at Paperback Prima Donna. She's a great YouTuber, probably one of the more original booktubers out there. I highly recommend her. She posts every Sunday. She says, congratulations. If any of these questions have been asked already, feel free to skip. What I'm very happy about is that there have been very few that I have been able to skip, Trish, because everybody actually has been asking me great questions, and yours were great too. Her first question was, is there something you love to do but aren't very good at doing? Well, I wouldn't say that I'm terrible at it, but I know that I can be so much better, and that is cooking. I just enjoy it. It's like painting a picture. Question number 2 is, if you could be someone else for a day, who would it be? It would be Brian Mariotti, the CEO of Funko. Question number 3 is, what do you think the #1 secret to a good life is? Share your wisdom. Great question, Trish, and the answer is love yourself. You are the most important project that you have. You are the one that has the ability to fix your own imperfections based on your own opinions and your own goals. Love yourself before you choose to love another. It is very important for you to be happy with who you are and what you're doing. You are your first priority. The next couple of questions come from Maggie over at Maggie Ann Martin. She is awesome. She does Book Madness every single year. I participated this year, and I'm so excited to be participating next year, especially with the character that I have chosen, and she has approved. She actually asked one of the best questions. I hate to pick favorites, but this one was absolutely fun to do. Congrats! My question is more of a statement. Pair your favorite top 5 movies with an ideal beverage that would go perfectly with it. Number 5 would be Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and I would pair it with a milkshake. It might as well be chocolate, but any one would do. Number 4 would be The Big Lebowski, and I would pair that with a coffee with a shot of Bailey's. Number 3 would be Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and I would pair that up with a really typical beer that tastes like beer. Number 2 is Star Wars. I would have that paired up with a veggie blends from V8. And number 1 would be Back to the Future, and I would pair them with a glass of water. Now, here are my explanations. The milkshake, because it is sweet, it is chocolatey if I go with chocolate, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, chocolate milkshake, it just works. The Big Lebowski with the Baileys in my coffee is because I'm not really the biggest fan of White Russians. I really actually don't like hard liquor that much, but Irish cream with a teensy bit of alcohol in it, I mean, that's just a great way to wake up in the morning. It is. I've tried it. It's amazing. With the beer for Ferris Bueller, I mean, it's a teen comedy, and when you take a look at teen comedies, most of the kids are always drinking, you know, cheap beer like Bud Light, and Miller Lite, and whatnot. So, you know, typical teen comedy beer for a teen comedy. Okay, the V8 Veggie Blends for Star Wars is because there's a little bit of everything in here, and Star Wars has a little bit of everything for everybody, and Back to the Future, a glass of water, because there's nothing else to add. It's refreshing, it's perfect, and that's Back to the Future. Maggie, thank you so much for this question. That was so much fun to answer. The next couple of questions come from Allie over at the Hardback Hoarder. Since you are great at giving advice, I have to ask, what is the best piece of advice that you ever received? I say it in every video, Allie. Actions speak louder than words. Question number 2 is there something that you have always wanted to do but have been scared to do? I would probably go with skydiving. It just looks so much fun, but I am terrified to jump out of a plane. Because as Jerry Seinfeld once said,
when you jump out of a plane 20,000 feet in the air, the chute doesn't open. I got news for you. The helmet is now wearing you for protection.
Question number 3 is there a movie or book that really changed your outlook on something in life? And I would probably say it's going to be Super Size Me, the Morgan Spurlock documentary movie from 2003. It really got me understanding my diet and exactly what the consequences could be with overweight and obesity, and while I'm definitely not perfect, I still am someone who tries to watch what he eats as constantly as possible, and one of the few things that I will say that I do not do is I do not eat fast food. The next couple of questions come from Uh-oh. Okay, trigger warning, everybody. Beware of who's next. I got a couple of questions from one of my good friends, the BookTube powder keg herself, Brie Fauché. Brie, you are awesome. I just had to do this just to make you laugh. I'm hoping a whole bunch of other people laughed as well. The question is, if you could go to the Olympics and compete in any sport, what would it be? Congrats on your new sub count. Well, I'm gonna give you a two-prong because I asked you if it was summer or winter that you were asking for, and she said either or. So my answers are, for the summer, water polo. For the winter, definitely curling. The next question comes from one of my older subscribers. Her name is Adele over at The Next Chapter. She's one of my fellow Friday Fivers. Adele, thank you for the question, and it is, if you could act in any film, what would it be, and who would you play? Well, I'm going to answer the question here for you honestly. I am not very much into acting, but I would definitely be an extra in any film. I don't care what it is, as long as I'm actually in the film, but I'm really more somebody that actually likes the back end of film. The writing, the directing, the visual effects, the editing, that's where I really enjoy. But I'll be an extra in any movie. I don't care if it's a romantic comedy, or a kid's film, or The Fast and the Furious Part 24, I don't care. As long as I can get a shot in the movie, I can yell at people, hey look, there's me! The next question comes from Jenny Koala. She is a fellow New Yorker. She doesn't make that many videos often, but she is definitely an awesome YouTuber. I highly recommend her channel. And she said, if Funko Pops didn't exist, what else would you be interested in collecting? I will post a link to my video of 10 non-pop collectibles tag. I think that will definitely help you out in getting that question answered, my friend. The next question comes from my friend, The Book Roast. She is fantastic. Check her out. She says, congrats, well deserved. My question is, if you could only save one Funko figure from a fire, what would it be? Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit, only because of the fact that there are 4 in the one box, and it would have to be my collection of Beatles pop figures. It was a 4-pack from Barnes & Noble, and it includes an illustrated book of the Yellow Submarine. And the reason why I would save that one is because of the fact that it was given to me by my now wife. It had been the 2nd year that we were dating, and that was her birthday present to me. And these are my favorite expensive pops in my collection because you can't find them anywhere anymore, and that box set is one of my prides and joys. The next question comes from Graham over at Man vs. Film. Fantastic YouTuber, definitely check him out, one of my favorite movie reviewers. Okay, so what is your favorite Scottish movie, either made or entered around the wonderful country? Trainspotting, my friend, definitely Trainspotting. The next 2 questions come from Pagan Pages, and she says, congrats. I don't think I heard this one in your last Q&A, but I could be wrong. Here are my questions. Number 1 is, has any of your favorite movies been remade, and if so, how did you feel about it? No, thankfully. The next question comes from Rob over at Rob Ryan Films, fantastic movie reviewer, definitely check out his channel. Front seat or back? Front seat? Back is tolerable as long as it is not bitch. The next 3 questions come from Amy over at Amy C. Books. She says, congratulations. If you could live in a movie, what movie would it be, and what character would you want to be playing? Well, that is a really tough question, but if I were to be honest with you, I know that Adele asked me about a movie role, but I feel that if I was actually one of the kids in The Sandlot, that would be a lot of fun. The next question is, where else in the world would you want to live? I would want to live in Boston. I love that town so much. I mean, it feels like New York, but it sort of is not like New York, but the city itself has 84 Dunkin' Donuts in it, and how could I possibly go wrong with that? And the next question is, if you could have any creature, real or mythical, as a form of your transformation, what would you choose? The butterfly. Definitely. And this young fellow knows exactly why.
Because nobody ever suspects the butterfly.
The next two questions come from Alex over at Alex's Fiction Addiction. One of my favorite booktubers, definitely check her out. Massive congratulations, she says. Okay, so, what is your favorite Funko Pop in your collection? While I did mention that the Beatles ones are the ones that I would want to save, Mr. Met is definitely my favorite one in my collection. I mean, I have a whole Met shrine, so it is very hard for Mr. Met to lose the #1 spot. And number 2 is, what do you think is the most overrated film of all time? Citizen Kane. Shots fired, Internet. The next couple of questions come from Kiki Tech. She is one of my fellow Friday Fivers and a fantastic YouTuber. Definitely check her out. Her two questions are, congratulations on 1,500 subscribers. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be with? These are not directors. The first question was about directors. This is people. I would say Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts Comics, Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and Jim Henson. Enough said. And our second question is, a book or movie that you feel was super underrated. Tim Story's directed Fantastic Four. Love it. It captures the true essence that is the Fantastic Four comics, and thanks to Fan4stick that came out a few years ago, it makes that movie look like Gone with the Wind. The next question comes from Hannah over at The Rainy Reader. If you were to compare yourself with a person in Star Trek, who would it be? Definitely Spock, because I am way too logical for my own good. The next question comes from Doc Trower. He is not a video maker, but he always comments on my Friday 5 videos. Such a delight to listen to what he has to say in the world of music. He says, 1,500 subs. Impressive, sir. His question is, if you had the power to summon 3 of your favorite bands or artists to play at a party, which ones would they be and why? Depeche Mode, The Cure, and the 1975, because they give the best concerts ever. That's my answer. The next question comes from Rachel Wagner. I mean, I've said so many great things about Rachel. Just subscribe to her, please. She is awesome. Congrats. What trends in film worry you? And if you could change these trends, how would you do so? Okay, I'm going to be really brutal here, everybody. There are way too many guidelines now, and because of these guidelines, they are remaking everything and anything just so they can fall within those guidelines. I'd say to change it, fire all the liberals because they're ruining Hollywood. The next question comes from Chloe over at Closey Cat. She doesn't really make many videos, but she's a big Funko collector. I hope you make some more videos soon, Chloe, because I really do enjoy your format and your personality. Congratulations, I love watching your videos, she says. Her question is, what or who influenced you to make YouTube videos? There was a very young boy named Will, and his channel was called Film Fanatic 57. I found his channel in 2010, and I just saw this kid who knew way too much about movies, more than I thought that I ever would. But I appreciated that this was a young kid that was just speaking his mind, talking about his passion, and just really giving fantastic professional reviews. And I just said to myself one day, you know what? I'm gonna finally get on YouTube and I'm gonna do this, because every opinion is valid. Whether it's books, whether it's movies, music, it doesn't matter how many reviewers are out there, because everybody has a voice and everybody can voice their own opinion. And because of this kid who is no longer out there making videos, I started doing this, and here we are 7 years later, and I am still very much into what I do. Thank you very much for the question, Chloe. The next question comes from Roya over at Roya Eve Reads. She just collabed with me on my last 10 for 12, and it was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Her question is, favorite movie genre? Apologies if you have already answered it. It's sci-fi and fantasy, and to a certain extent it's also animation as well. The next question comes from Jenna Bookhaven. Her question is, what is your favorite book that you discovered because of BookTube? The answers are the Lunar Chronicles, and that's pretty much that. The next 4 questions come from Christina over at Christina's Journey. Awesome YouTuber, fellow Friday Fiver. Definitely check her out. I've never seen so much positive energy illuminating from a YouTuber besides myself, but I think she has so much more than I do. I just have no idea where she keeps it all. Her questions are, what is your favorite thing about New York, and what is your favorite place in New York? Well, I did answer that question to some degree, but I think I can be a little more specific here. Everything is within reach, and definitely the Museum of Natural History is my favorite spot. Question number 2 is, if you could create a Funko Pop, which character would you make? Definitely George Jetson. I don't know why he hasn't been turned into a Pop with the rest of his family. I know that they've made Dorbs, but I don't collect Dorbs. I want a freaking George Jetson Pop. Thank you very much. Question number 3 is, what movie do you think would be a good musical? Definitely the Simpsons movie, because they've done a lot of musical numbers on their show. I mean, look at how successful South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was. I think the Simpsons movie would have been a very good musical. And the 4th question is, if you could change the ending of any movie, which one would it be and how would you change it? Star Wars Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith. I just feel that while we got the closure and we got to see what we all wanted, I feel that it was super rushed. I feel that there was so much in the middle that we could have taken out and replaced it with the ending with a little extra depth and a little extra character development, like with the birth of the twins and them getting separated and, of course, you know, Anakin becoming Darth Vader, because it was like all of a sudden, boom, he's Darth Vader. Too fast. They should have definitely slowed it down. The next question comes from Alyssa over at Pucks and Paperbacks, one of my really good friends. She is such a pleasure to talk to. Definitely check her out. She says, congrats, what is your favorite book-to-movie adaptation? Watchmen. The next question comes from Cameron over at Wolfshot Publishing. He says, congrats, man. What is the one franchise do you think you could do without, and which one do you think is better to have? I would say that we are better off not having 50 Shades of Grey, and we are blessed to have Harry Potter. The next question comes from Amy Schmidt. She is a fellow pop collector, and she doesn't make videos, but I am friends with her in the Basement Geeks Facebook page. There will be a link provided there if you are a collector of all things geeky and fun. She says, congratulations. What is your favorite book? And what is your favorite book series? I would say that my favorite book is Stephen King's It, and my favorite book series is Harry Potter. The next question comes from someone I have to make sure that I spell correctly. Charles Rubich Chung. And the question is, what is your favorite video out of all the videos that you have made on your channel? Congrats on 1,500 subscribers. It is wonderful to see you so proud of yourself. I would probably say that at this point it is my 400th upload, which is still on my channel, because it's all about being a positive YouTube role model, and there will be a link to that at the end of the video. And the final question comes from Anonymous K. Congrats. What movie is your favorite in your DVD collection, and what is your favorite that you don't own? I would probably say that my favorite in my collection is my copy of Casablanca, because it is a beautiful package. I even reviewed it on one of my videos, and I will provide a link to that. And my favorite movie that I don't own is probably Don Bluth's American Tail. Everybody, that is my 1,500 subscribers Q&A answers. I hope you all enjoyed, and all of the people that asked their questions, you saw their names pop up in the screen, so take a look at some of those names. If you want to check out some of their channels, they are all wonderful YouTubers. I highly suggest that you do. Thank you so much for asking questions. It was a pleasure to answer them, and I will see you all in the next one.
I didn't burn down the school. It was the butterfly, I tell you. The butterfly!
Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.